Clary's fans are going like, oh, Clary being savage as fuck to the Sealy Queen, oh, and like, no, Clary being idiotic as fuck to the Sealy Queen. What's up, Shadowhunters, Angels and Darkmolders alike, and welcome to Fair and Unbiased for Shadowhunters Season 2B, Episode 19, Hail and Farewell. We're finally back at my desk, people. We've finally made it back. Be lucky, because I almost didn't record it at my desk. I almost recorded it in bed again, because I am absolutely shattered. I would say that I'm definitely better. I went to the doctor's today, so I've gotten, like, the shit sorted. I'm not going to talk about the details, but I've gotten the shit sorted. So hopefully the only way is up from here. Here's hoping. So I've got a lot to talk about in Fair and Unbiased because there was a lot to kind of take from this episode. So I'm just going to jump straight in because I've got a page full here and we've only got a 20-minute slot. So let's go. First thing I want to talk about is Clary and Jace's behaviour at the meeting. I fucking hate them both. I did say that the Clace moment got me in this episode, but that does not mean that I like Clary or Jace any more than I did before that, because they're both fucking dickheads. That's the only way I can put this. Like, both of them. Clary is a child, and Jace is just a dick. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Clary acts like an immature toddler, and Jace acts like just an asshole. Like, I get that the Sealy Queen put them in an uncomfortable position when they visited her in her court, but this was a very important meeting. This was a very sensitive time between the Darkmolders and the Shadowhunters. The Darkmolders were starting to side with the Sealy Queen, and Alec, as the head of the Institute, decided, right, we need to make a meeting and we need to talk about this, and we need to try and come up with a plan where we can join forces against Valentine. And they know that the Sealy Queen's very manipulative, and Alec, for one thing, knows that Magnus is already siding with the Sealy Queen, and then Luke and Raphael seem to have done as well. But Raphael didn't really talk during the meeting, but Luke seemed to be on the sort of side of just the Darkmolders working on their own. And the Shadowhunters were in a very uncomfortable and a very sensitive position when it came to approaching the Darkmolders about what they're going to do about Valentine and Sebastian. His name almost escaped me there. Sebastian and the Soul Sword and the Mortal Cup and the Mirror. Now it's not just the Soul Sword. I'm so used to just saying the Soul Sword. It's all the mortal instruments. And so this is very sensitive. The Sealy Queen's a very hard woman to please. This is a very important meeting. So what does Clary do? She waltzes in, looks the Sealy Queen dead in the eye and says, "Oh, Sealy Queen, what an unpleasant surprise to see you here." Are you 9? What is wrong with you, Clary? Like, seriously, who let her go into that meeting? Like, if I knew that she was going to act like that, I would not have let her in. And to make matters worse, when Alec tries to clean up after what she said, and he's even thrown off, he's probably wondering how can she act so fucking stupid as well. He was so thrown off, he started going like, no, she means. And then Jace jumps in and goes like, oh, I'm going to have to side with Clary here, Alec. And you're like, Jace! Like, Clary doesn't get a pass because she's untrained and shit, but at least she could say that she's untrained. Jace, you know full well, and you're still siding with Clary. What the fuck is this? Do they not know how to behave? Like, the Sealy Queen didn't give a shit. The Sealy Queen was, the Sealy Queen's the Sealy Queen. Shit like that flies over her head. Like, you could honestly, like, call her a cunt or something, and she would probably barely even flinch. But that doesn't mean that when you know that this is a sensitive situation, and this woman has a very important influence on the decisions of her people and the rest of the Darkmold, you don't just waltz in and insult them. You need to be diplomatic. I cannot even begin to comprehend. It's almost so unbelievable that Clary and Jace could be that stupid. That was a big problem, I think, in the writing, because I get that I don't like Clary, and I get that she can be impulsive and stupid and idiotic all the time, but honestly, I find it hard to believe that she would be that stupid. Does it really escape her that much, the concept of maybe not insulting the people you're trying to get on your side, regardless of what they've done to you? I mean, for Christ's sake, Simon went and spoke to the Seelie Queen, and he was the one most hurt by what she did to them. And then Jace, power time my ass, friggin' saying, I'm gonna have to side with Clary here. Like, Jace, what is even wrong with you? I know you want to get in her pants, but that's just beyond even, as I say, I find it too hard to believe that they would be that stupid. They're both two very stupid people. Clary and Jace are two very impulsive, stupid, and just all round annoying and awful people. I don't like their characters at all, but I don't believe that they would be that bad, that they would be that clueless and think that they're that good. And then all Clary's fans are going like, oh, Clary being savage as fuck to the Seelie Queen. Oh, and like, no, Clary being idiotic as fuck to the Seelie Queen. I don't have a word for how stupid the pair of them were in that moment. And the fact that Jace, once again, how many times is this now? Time 1 billion that he takes Clary's side over Alex. I don't like them. Any shred of decency that I thought the pair of them had is just gone. They're both... I can't, as I say, I think it's more a problem with the writing, because I don't like their characters, but I don't believe they'd be that bad. It has to have been a mistake in the writing that someone thought, we'll make Clary be savage to the Seelie Queen, it'll be so funny. And you're like, no, all you've done is make Clary look stupid, unprofessional, and you've done the same to Jace. And it's even worse for Jace, because Jace has grown up in this world, and even so, even if Clary hasn't grown up in this world, she's fucking 18 years old. She knows how to act in a diplomatic meeting. For one thing, not insulting the people that you're talking to is a good start. She may be untrained, but she's not 10 years old. Oh, I couldn't get over it. I still can't get over it. And as I say, any shred of decency that I thought the pair of them had is gone. They're both just awful people who think that they're all hard ass for like standing up to the Seelie Queen. They don't even stand up there, they're just being insulting when this is a really sensitive time. The bond between the connection between the Shadowhunters and the Darkmoulders is running very thin right now. Valentine and Sebastian are very close to getting all the mortal instruments, and in the time when they're supposed to be uniting the Shadowhunters and the Darkmoulders, what does Clary and Jace do? They decide to act like fucking children and insult the Seelie Queen right to her face. No words. Absolutely no words. Talking about now Magnus's motives for being with the Seelie Queen, there's a lot of theories knocking around right now about what Magnus is actually doing. There are theories that maybe the Seelie Queen has threatened to hurt the people that Magnus loves. There are theories that he's a double agent. There are theories that maybe he is just doing this to protect the Warlocks. You know, it is possible. For each of these theories, a lot of them do hold a lot of ground, and a lot of them are quite possible. It's just... I hope it's the double agent one. I feel like the double agent theory would be very interesting, that Magnus was doing this all along just to sort of get information on what the Seelie Queen was doing, and it would actually come in handy now that the Seelie Queen is siding with Valentine. If Magnus found out that, he could then like relay it back. But for some reason I don't think it's going to be that. I honestly think that this is just going to be that Magnus is doing this for the good of the Warlocks. And as soon as he finds out that the Seelie Queen is siding with Valentine, he's going to go, no, no, fuck. This is the guy that we were supposed to be uniting against, not the person we're supposed to be allying with. And I do think that Magnus is just doing this as the High Warlock of Brooklyn. I think he's doing this to protect his people. And that's pretty much the gist of it. I don't think there's going to be much in-depth detail into it. I don't think there's any secret hidden theory that will happen, but I could be wrong. I honestly think this is just a decision that Magnus made to protect his people, and as soon as he finds out that the Seelie Queen is siding with the person they're supposed to be uniting against, then obviously he's going to say no, because obvious reasons. He has the mortal instruments and he's trying to kill them all, and I'm pretty sure that the Seelie Queen will just make a deal with Valentine for him to say, kill everyone with demon blood except for the Seelies, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think that as soon as Magnus finds out that she's siding with Valentine, he's going to be like, nope, where's my boyfriend? No, not like that, just sort of like he'll say no, and he'll go back to the maybe not going back to working with the Shadowhunters, maybe he'll just go and start like doing his own thing. But in the next episode we do see that him, Alec and Isabel are doing shit together with those dragon things, so they must reunite at some point. The Forsaken were introduced in this episode. The Forsaken is what happens when a human drinks from the mortal cup and it doesn't work. If I remember properly, it's been a while since I read the books, but Valentine and Sebastian do use the Forsaken a lot in the books as a kind of like an army, basically. It kind of turns humans into kind of like a zombie-like creature, or like a demonic zombie-like creature that basically they can control. In the same way probably that they can control demons with the mortal cup, you can probably control the Forsaken because they're kind of demonic. So the Forsaken are being used now, and they're fucking creepy as hell. They look like zombies. I don't like it. Oh, I mean, the effects are good and everything, I just don't like it because it creeps me out a bit. But yeah, the Forsaken are being used now, and I think they're calling them Forsaken. Isabel called it the Forsaken, so that's how I know it's the Forsaken. This isn't me like critically thinking about, oh, I read Forsaken in the books, I bet that's the Forsaken. No, I'm pretty sure Isabel literally said, oh, they're Forsaken. So I do think that the Forsaken will be used more throughout the seasons because they were used a lot in the books. Not to say that because it was used in the books it's going to be used a lot in the show, because as we know the show pretty much pops up the middle finger to the books, and I'm quite happy for that middle finger to stay there, let's just say. But I would be interested to see for them using them Forsaken more, because it is an interesting kind of concept of what happens to humans when they drink from the mortal cup and it doesn't work and they don't turn into Shadowhunters. So I do hope they use them more, because the effects are good. They're kind of zombie-like, and that's kind of how I imagined them in the books, so no real complaint there. I think that they're doing really good with that. And they kind of attack like demons, like a mob mentality kind of thing, as soon as they're given an instruction. And it was cool to see Isabel, Alec, and well, Jace got captured immediately, so he didn't really do much. It was interesting to see, it was really good to see Alec and Isabel kicking ass. Alec shooting 2 of them through the head in one shot. Fucking badass motherfucker right there. I fucking loved it. And then that led to the scene where Isabel confronted Sebastian. And I liked that scene. It was very emotional because I knew that Isabel was going to have a moment where she had to vent to Sebastian, because he did take her in and then she invited him to the Institute, so there was going to be a level of guilt that I knew she was going to have, and she was going to blame herself. So the scene with her shouting at Sebastian was really moving to watch, because Sebastian pointed out that she wouldn't be alive without him or something, and she said, yeah, and that's why I'm going to make your death less painful than you deserve. And that kind of struck me the wrong way, because not even necessarily struck me the wrong way, just when she said it I was like, he tried to kill your brother though. Like, I don't agree with like torturing people or like drawing out their death, but if someone tried to kill my sister, I don't care what the fuck they did for me, I'd be fucking like, I wouldn't be sitting going, I'm gonna make your death less painful than you deserve. I'd be like, I'm gonna give you every fucking inch of what you deserve, you fucking bastard. You know, kind of like that. But then it's hard to say what you would be like when you're in that situation. It's easy to say, oh, you know, I'd never like kill people like who done me wrong. I would take the high road, and I'd be good, and you know, that kind of thing, and it's like I would just let them live with the guilt and all that shit. A lot of people would say that they would do that, but then when you're put into the situation of something actually having happened, then you react a lot differently than what you say you would. You can't really say until you're in that position. But all I think is that I don't think that Isabel saying that she was going to make it less painful than he deserved it was hit or miss for me. It's not a big deal, it was just something that I picked up on, but I loved her freaking slashing him with her fucking whip. I love anytime she uses her whip. I love her whip. Her whip's fucking badass. So I really enjoyed watching her like whip the shit out of him. That was really fun. And it was kind of like a kind of closing of arcs as such for Isabel in this episode, because she tied up things with Raphael. Like he said that I liked the way her scene with Raphael went. He was like, I feel like there's something like with us that's not just our addiction to each other. And Isabel said, yeah, I think that too. but they didn't do anything with it, because even if there is something that isn't their addiction to each other, the addiction is still there and the possibility of relapse is still there. And I think they both understand that. Raphael is a very clever man, and I think he understands, and Isabel is a very clever woman, she understands as well, that there was no way that their relationship was going to work in the end, because they were both addicted to each other. And where for Raphael it wouldn't have been that big a deal, for it was affecting Isabel a lot. And I think even Raphael, if he had ended up losing control and maybe accidentally killed Isabel, he would never forgive himself. So it was nice to see them tie things up kind of in a nice little bow, and they're like, everything's sorted now. And Isabel's kind of close up her Yin Fen arc, I think, for good, hopefully. And in more ways than one, because she's confronted Sebastian now, and he was the one to help her kick her addiction. So it's nice to see Isabel's storylines getting all tied up before the finale. Like, they were just left open-ended, and you were just like, oh, I wonder what happened with Isabel. So it's nice to see they're tying them all up and not just leaving them to kind of linger. Alec and Jace, we talked about this in First Thoughts. Did I mention I don't like Jace? I am growing to fucking hate Jace. Not only was he a dick in the meeting with the Seelie Queen and Raphael and Luke and Magnus, he then proceeds to ignore Alec's feelings on the fact that not only was Alec being confronted by someone who just broke up with him, but he was being confronted with someone who just broke up with him, who told the Seelie Queen that the Soul Sword was in Valentine's hands and was now standing by the Seelie Queen's side instead of the Shadowhunters. That is not an easy thing to go through, and that's not me blaming Magnus or anything. I understand why Magnus made the decision that he did. All I'm saying is that it's not an easy situation to have to be faced with that, especially when you're Parvati and his girlfriend, she might as well be his girlfriend at this point, are acting like immature babies and just complete and utter dickheads. And I can't get over, like, him then going later, it's like, thanks for not asking about what happened between me and Clary. Jeez, no one cares about what's going on between you and Clary. You and Clary are as deep as a puddle, for fuck's sake. You both are going to get together, you're just going to be kissing again, and you're just going to be gross, and it's just, I could care less about your relationship. That scene between the both of you when your runes were glowing and all that was really nice, but that's about as emotional as the pair of yous get. Like, there's no complexity to your relationship. The amount of conflict in your relationship was finding out that you were siblings and then finding out that you're not, and then Simon. And that's it. And that's probably why Alec didn't ask. He probably knew it was inevitable that you were going to get together in the first place. He doesn't care. It's becoming really annoying to watch. And it's kind of annoying because they did really well with the Parvati bond up until now, with Parvati lost and just the little bits and pieces about feeling each other's pain and stuff like that. The only excuse I could come up with was that maybe Jace could feel how Alec was hurting and decided that he wasn't going to ask. I don't know, but then it felt kind of rude to kind of then rub it in his face by going like, oh, thanks for not asking about me and Clary. It's like, we get it, Jace, you're getting back together at some point soon. Can you please drop it and just get on with it already and stop dancing around it like friggin' children? Because these are children. Oh, I can't stand it. I can't stand them both. Okay, final thing to talk about. Oh wait, no, not the final thing to talk about. I've got two more things to talk about. This is going to go beyond 20 minutes, I can tell. Jace versus Sebastian. Both of them were trained by Valentine, so they both kind of had, like, they were both very similar in how they attacked each other. And it was funny. Everyone thinks it's hilarious when, like, Jace was, like, hanging from the chain and he was like, did he make you spaghetti too? And I was actually watching it with my mum yesterday, and I realised that Valentine made Sebastian. Valentine made Jace spaghetti when he thought that Jace was on his side, and then he made Sebastian spaghetti when he thought that Sebastian was on his side. That's what they were referring to. I thought it was just Jace sort of having a throwaway line about how they ate spaghetti as children, but no, it's what Valentine did for them when he recruited them, he made them fucking spaghetti. And it was so weird in this really dramatic scene where he's being hung by a chain and he's just like, did he make you spaghetti too? It's like, oh, way to throw the mood off. And then as soon as Sebastian mentioned that Valentine taught him a way of stabbing someone so that it punctures their spine and their heart, I was like, I bet you Jace knows that too, because the whole point is that Valentine raised them both the exact same way. He taught them the exact same things to see how someone with angel blood and someone how demon blood would react to the same upbringing. So I was just like, well, Jace knows that too then, and Jace did, and he stabbed Sebastian, and Sebastian's in the river, and I can't comment on anything about that because as a book reader I know bits and pieces and I don't want to spoil anything. So Sebastian's dead, 100% dead, totally dead, completely gone. I don't think anyone really believes that, but I won't really comment any further. He's a fucking demon, for Christ's sake. Can you really stab a demon dead? I don't think so. Not as far as I'm aware. Or can you? I think you actually can. But then they kind of made it kind of bad because they didn't make him kind of explode or evaporate or disappear or anything. The idiots. So they've made it kind of obvious that this obviously isn't the end. So that was a bit stupid of them. Just a bit. And finally, the Seelie Queen has kidnapped Maya because Simon rejected her, and she is siding with Valentine, the snake. The Seelie Queen, the snake, Seelie Queen. Sneely. Let's call her Sneely. Sounds like a friggin' villain from like Harry Potter or something, the Sneely. The Sneely Queen. Yeah, she's just been a complete utter snake. I saw this coming because I obviously know how she gets on because of the books. The Seelie Queen is not trustworthy. Don't trust her. She's a fucking bitch. And now she has her Maya. She's kidnapped Maya, and that's happening. And then she's like, oh, let's go talk to Valentine and side with him, even though he could kill me and my people. I only have his word. Oh, I hate the Seelie Queen. I can't stand her. But there's not really much to say other than the fact that she's being a snake. She's being a little sneely. But I think that it's a very unwise move on her part, because as soon as like Luke and Magnus find out that she's done that, they're going to ditch her. But I doubt that she'd really care. Honestly, I think that it would be like waters off a duck's back to her if like they left her. So I honestly don't think she cares. She does what she thinks works better for her and her people and no one else. Not even her allies, no one else. She only cares about herself and her Seelies, and that's it. So it's a bit hard being allied with someone like that, let's say. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. That's all there is to talk about. If there's anything I missed out, comment it below. I will see you next week for Besides Still Waters, I think it's called. The final episode of Season 2B. Can you believe it? We've got one more week of this, and then I need to start coming up with original ideas for videos. To be fair, I've got a couple of video ideas in the works. The podcast probably won't restart immediately because Maeve has got a job. So I don't know what's going to be going on with that yet, but I'll keep you updated. So I'll see you next week for the final episode, for last 2 episodes of my reviews, last 1 episode of Shadowhunters. So I'll see you then, Shadowhunters, Angels and Darmoders like. And remember, Clary is not a savage. Clary is an immature fucking child, and she always has been, and I don't think she will ever change. She always will be at this point. And Jace is just a dick. So there's that.